Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. This time out, we're going way back. It's going to be a tribute to the one and only Lou Thesz, multiple-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he did something I bet you didn't know he did. We're going to talk about that with our special guest, Jon Boucher, the podcasting wrestling guy. You know, I don't want to fess up to this, but I had a match against a guy named Lou way back when. There's no video of it, of course, because it was so long ago. Well, there's just a little bit of audio of it. Would you like to hear it? I thought you would. Boy, I'll tell you what. It feels just like it was yesterday.
1, 2, 3.
It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. At least I set foot in the ring, you young punks. Hello, everybody. It's Bob Smith, the old Pro Wrestling Illustrated editor, and this is the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Glad to have you back. Our special guest this time is Jon Boucher. You know him from a bunch of wrestling podcasts, and we're going to talk about something he's dug up and put on YouTube involving the great Lou Thesz. And we'll offer a little bit of history. And, of course, Joe Puccio and I will open the festivities talking about everything from ice cream to, well, the 2-day SummerSlam. So, we'll be back in just a quick shake, like 30 seconds away. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's your one-stop shop for great wrestling. It's the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Ray Russell brings a host of great shows right to your device. There's the Wrestling Memory Grenade, Regional Wrestling, The Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, The Amazing Puro Academy Show, Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Dave Dynasty's long-running hit, Wrestling Nostalgia, Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, the hilarious Other Ship podcast, and a whole lot more. Great shows and great guests, but where do you find all this stuff? Really simple. Try logging on to WrestleCopia.com. As I like to say, it's your one-stop shop for great wrestling memories. Oh, it's a special moment here on the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Hi, it's Bob Smith, the old PWI writer and editor. And I'm joined by my co-host, Joe Puccio, or Joe Buff Femi, as it says in the stat box. You wacky guy, you. It literally just happened as I hit the taping button here. Joe got a package in the mail. Joe, what's in the packages?
So this was not planned, of course. This is literally as we were about. You literally said, let's hit the button right now. The doorbell rings, and I'm wondering why it keeps ringing. It must be important. I go to the door. It's the UPS guy. Now, normally he leaves my packages. They just leave them at the door. They take a picture, and he's like, oh, I'm glad you answered. I always leave you packages, but I'm not allowed to here. He's like, this must be, I don't know, maybe it's liquor or something. What? Liquor? And then all of a sudden, the light bulb went off in my head, and I realized what it is. Now, I haven't even opened it yet because now we're taping. About a week ago, I decided to purchase the 3 different bottles of Ric Flair spirits that he has available. He has a bottle of vodka, bottle of rum, and a bottle of bourbon. And I decided, you know what? Why not? It's Ric Flair. I'm a sucker for celebrity endorsed liquors. And I said, why not? So it's sitting here right now in a box. It literally arrived as we were about to tape the Outdated Wrestling Hour.
All right, I have a couple of questions. First off, Ric Flair imbibes in alcoholic spirits?
Well,
I didn't hear anything to this effect in my entire life.
I don't know how long he's been doing this. It's probably only, I don't know, maybe it's a year, maybe even less.
No, I just meant, does he drink? I have no idea.
Oh, does he drink? Yeah.
No, I always heard he was, well, all right, but it's neither here nor there. Now, here's the question. As you know, sitting in my kitchen right was a bottle of Fog Hat wine,
I do know.
which is the wine equivalent of the guy who gets calls up for the minors. He made the majors, but he gives up 11 runs in 2/3 of an inning. You never see him again. That's Fog Hat wine. That's a sports analogy. What in the world do you think this? Do you think this wine is going to be any? It's wine, right?
It's not wine. No.
Oh, well,
It's a vodka, a rum, and a bourbon. 3 different bottles.
it's Mo, Larry, and Curly. So
There you go.
the question is, you think it's going to be any good?
I don't know, but here's the kicker. I haven't made up my mind yet, and this might be totally ridiculous, but I haven't even made up my mind if I'm going to
Open.
drink them.
Mhm.
I desperately want to. I'm not really a rum fan. I do like vodka. I do like bourbon, so I would like to try them. But you know that part of you that always wants to kind of keep it for display, and I have my office in here, and I have a lot of things on display. So there's a real big part of me that does not want to open them. So I don't know. It's a conundrum.
Okay. The next question: were they expensive? No, you don't have to give me a dollar
I
amount.
will. Well,
Just say medium or high, or no,
the-
they were a song and they weren't expensive. But
No.
wait, but then again, a bottle of vodka is expensive.
Well, no, here's the thing. The vodka and the rum were fairly reasonable. The bourbon, because bourbon's a little bit more expensive, the bourbon was about double the price. They weren't crazy expensive. I'm not breaking the bank here, but they weren't cheap, so Yeah.
Should we do an unboxing like they do on YouTube? You ever see people that like get baseball cards or watches and they do an unbox? Like they literally take the package that was outside and
yeah,
take out the X-Acto blade and open it. And
yeah.
here's the outside package. Here's the stuffing. Ooh, there's my Rolex.
Too bad it's not a
Should
video
we do it?
podcast, but yeah, if you want me
Go
to,
ahead.
I'll open it.
Open the box. Go ahead. Now, Joe Puccio is reaching for his big cardboard box. And he's going to crack it open here somehow, and I'm going to take a look to see what the label, at least one of these bottles, looks like. And you're here live, hearing it all as it happens. What did Art Carney say, Chef of the Future? This is not on tape. This is live, coming to you on television. Look how that thing is packaged. First of all,
This is some secure
packaging job. Yeah. I'm looking, it was in a box, and then there's an outer layer of heavy cellophane, like the type of cellophane that you put over your car to prevent it from rain. I'm not even kidding. Now there's another box, and I think each type of liqueur is individually boxed. This thing wouldn't break if you dropped it down a flight of stairs. I had a watch come to me like that too. I was just so impressed. The packaging gets an A+, Joe. I don't know if you can hear me, but that's tremendous.
It certainly does.
Now he's taking out his X-Acto blade again. He's done one fell swipe with his right hand. He's opening it with his left hand, and out comes a bottle that's even more packaged. It's got beautiful, heavy, thick brown paper. And now the bottle has revealed itself, and it says Flair Vodka. And it looks like he's doing a woo on the label, isn't he?
It has a picture of Rick on the label. It says Flair Vodka. It says, "To be the man, you got to beat the man." Woo!
Yes, and he's wooing.
He is wooing.
Yes, he is.
On the back, it says, "Congratulations, you just found the most styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing vodka in the world. Enjoy the ride."
Oh my gosh. All right. Now, this is amazing. I never thought I'd see the day. So, for the benefit of our listeners who have listened to us do a package opening on the radio here, where'd you get them? How can people get them? Is there a website? Do you remember where you got them?
Sure. The website is flairspirits.com.
Just flairspirits.com.
Yeah.
Well, we've done our, civic duty here, letting people know about Ric Flair Spirits.
Now that we just gave Rick all this free publicity, being that I'm sure Carvel isn't going to want anything to do with us anymore.
Wait. Now, Joe is segueing into our next segment, which is the recent Facebook controversy. You know me, folks out there. I don't court controversy. I'm not here to be one of those shoot wrestling things. I'm just appreciative of old school stuff. But speaking of old school stuff, I went to a ball game. And as you know, I had this jaw surgery, which we talked about and I'm still eating a lot of soft food. But one thing I can have is soft ice cream, like really soft, like soft serve. So I go up to the counter and I got the classic vanilla in a Met hat, little plastic Met hat. And I took one bite. And here's the funny thing about this, Joe. I had Carvel earlier in the day, right? I took one bite of this thing and I went, oh man, I hate to say it. It's Mr. Softy. And it blew away the taste of the vanilla Carvel. It's not even close. I thought Carvel was like, this just tasted fresher, creamier, sweeter, no matter how you want to put it. The texture of it was smoother. It was just, I really liked it. So it's now my favorite #1 vanilla soft serve. Now, I am the guy who's ignored the Mr. Softy truck. I didn't usually eat ice cream at all, but because of this, I've been eating a lot of ice cream because I can have it and I can have a small ice cream and not going to hurt anything. But it was really good, Joe. I did what I thought was a funny Facebook post, extolling the virtues of Mr. Softy in crazy terms. But I got to tell you, we talked about Carvel a million times. My allegiance is now to Mr. Softy, which is, by the way harder to get than Carvel. You can't walk into a store and buy it. You got to go to a place that has it. And it's usually just the trucks. I don't know if it sells at retail or at ice cream shops. I've never seen it, just the ballpark. So I'd have to go to a ball game to have it, really. So listen, I'm still going to eat Carvel. I'm not saying I'm not going to have it, but boy, this was a revelation to me.
So first of all, did you say that this was your second of the day? So that was your second. You had Carvel earlier in the day, and then you had Softy.
And then I had this other thing later in the day. Yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I had it. The Mets are so desperate to sell tickets now that when you buy a ticket to a game now, you get $10 in free food.
Really?
Yes, really. On every ticket, it's in the code of the ticket. And the tickets are digital now. So you flash your phone at the counter, your $10 credit shows up, and anything up to $10 is yours for free. Now, here's the problem. Everything is $10.
Of course. Right.
Or more.
Or more.
I mean, if you have a beer, it's $15
right.
in this place anymore. But it's still $10 off. So that's what I chose to get because it was $9.75 and I had to pay the extra plus tip and all that stuff. So that's why I got it.
We can all agree here that you're a traitor. That's fine. But okay, as far as the ice cream, look, I grew up eating Mr. Softy when it was, we grew up in an apartment building in Queens, and so you had to. It wasn't like I could just run out of the house because you had to get on the elevator or run down the stairs. Just like any other kid, I would go down, I would get Mrs. Softy. Here's the kicker, though. I was never someone who got the soft serve ice cream from the truck. I was always one of those kids that would get one of the bars, not to make a joke because this is the outdated wrestling hour, but I was a big fan of the WWF ice cream bars, and I used to get those in the Mr. Softy truck. They had them. But more often than not, I was like the toasted almond bars and things like that. So I would get the prepackaged bars. That being said, I can't say I'm overly familiar with their equivalent to Carvel, the soft serve ice cream. So I can't give a definitive answer now, but I will have to try it one of these days. But I did talk to my wife about this after we read your posts, and she's familiar with it. And she wholeheartedly disagrees. She says that it's not even close. Carvel just wipes, it's not even a contest. So there you go. But I'm really looking forward to getting one next time I hear that jingle in my neighborhood. But like you said, it's not that often. I mean, it's not like it comes, I don't know, where I am here on Long Island in New York, it's not really every night. It's just occasionally you'll hear it and then you go outside. So I don't think you can get these in store, like you said.
Right. Please have your wife have her cell phone at the ready when you go running into the street like a kid going, stop. All right. Listen, this whole Carvel thing, as you all know out there, is fun for us because we are mutual Carvel fans. Listen, it's not that I don't like Carvel. Like on a Saturday, we have a tendency to go out and then it's right there. Let's go to Carvel. We do it. So I'm not going to stop. Especially during, you can't get Mr. Softy in the winter. I wouldn't even know where to go to get it in the wintertime. But I am waiting for my hat and T-shirt to arrive in the mail. So do you know they sell an entire line of Mr. Softy garb?
No, yeah. I didn't know that.
All kinds of things, rain slickers and ponchos. And I wish I was kidding. I'm not kidding. Go to MrSofty.com and you can find all of their apparel.
The next time we get together, let's say we go to another wrestling show, we should get the garb. You should wear a Mr. Softy shirt and I'll wear a Carvel shirt. And there you go. Be our gimmick.
The teenage girls are going to pass us and go, look at those two guys. They're creamy. All right. All right. Enough of us. Oh, SummerSlam. Now, this is going to be out a couple weeks after SummerSlam, but let's just talk about it briefly. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed the first night, and I gave it a solid B. But I thought night 2 was way under par. You know, if I had to grade the whole 2-day event, I'd give it a C minus. I really didn't enjoy much of night 2. The brawl between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins when he went into the out into the stands part was the most comfortable looking brawl I've ever seen. There wasn't a move there that looked authentic to me. They were brawling, but it was just like, and it was the pacing was so slow. I think, by the way,
Yes.
Roman Reigns is slow as a wrestler. He is not a dynamic speedster. You know, I know he does that quick. What's the move where he rams into the guy? I don't know it's like a spear.
Oh,
So yeah, it's like a spear.
yeah.
He's in slow motion. He just is. I defy anybody to tell me he's like fast afoot. And his matches are always the slowest thing on any show. WrestleMania and everything else, slower. It's always slow. I'm not complaining. I'm just shocked he's still in that spot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's very, I guess, methodical. He takes his time with everything. It's almost like he wants to make sure every single moment, every single facial expression, everything has a meaning. But he is on the slower side. So I'll definitely grant you that. It's funny. I also was talking to my friend about this, and I also said I would probably give it about a C if you're averaging out both nights. Roughly, C plus, something like that. I would agree. The first night, I really liked the opener, the women's match, Io Sky and Liv Morgan. I thought that was a really good match, so I was kind of getting my hopes up. And then it kind of, it was hit or miss after that. Second night, I really liked. I did like Seth and Roman. It's funny because I'm always wanting matches to be longer on these shows because I think WWE a lot of times cuts the time. But for that one, I agree with you. It was very methodical. It almost felt like they were taking too long between each move. So
you know what I can't stand? Michael Cole is at the end of the thing. They're both laying there panting when the match was over, and he's screaming, "This will go down in history as one of the all-time." And I'm thinking, dude, that's for us to tell you, not for you to tell us.
Mhm.
I hate it when they do that. It's all hype.
It's all hype.
You know?
Yeah. And it's funny because I just, again, I feel like we're always talking about this, but even like the timing of the other matches, like that last match was like over a half hour. Meanwhile, Kevin Owens comes back, which is a big, great occasion. Of course, everybody pops because they all want to see Kevin Owens. And I thought it was great too. I like Owens, but the match, he comes in and you have all four of these guys, these great wrestlers, and the match was about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like, why not give them longer, give them some time? And even the Gable Penta match was only about 10 or 11 minutes. So it's like you got these shows that you have all this time with commercials and all this, and the matches are they're the backdrop. They're the afterthought.
Everything has a tie-in now. The Chad Gable thing? He won, he won the title there, whichever it was. I always confuse the U.S. and the Intercontinental, but he won that belt. And at the end, he was having a quaff from some sports drink that this mascot was part of.
Yeah.
Everything's a tie-in.
I know.
Everything's a tie. It's getting to the point where it's ridiculous at this point. And one more thing about Kevin Owens coming back. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's in good health. But if you're a full-grown adult and you see Kevin Owens and you shed tears, I don't want to know you. I really don't. What's wrong with you?
But when you see those shots, do you ever think
staged?
Don't you ever think it's staged? Like, is that real?
Yeah, I do.
Is there actually? Because I know what you're talking about. There was a woman crying. I mean,
there's two.
Were they really crying?
I saw tears. Yeah, they were like weeping.
But do you think it was real, or do you think they staged it?
Well, let's go back to when at the moment when Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth got back together in the ring. Do you remember that match?
Yes, sure.
They cut to this red-haired woman, and she was bawling, and the tears were rolling down her face. And later on, I think, and I can't vouch for this, that it was revealed that she was a WWF employee.
Okay.
So I don't know. But no, I happen to think, no, I think those were real people doing the real job. Oh, what's wrong with everybody? Gosh almighty.
It is weird. I mean, I don't know. The only other thing again, I will say about the show, the Brock Oba match, I know they main evented that night. And to me, it was a good ending with Brock. I like him giving the endorsement to Oba and all that. I got no problems with that. The match was fine, but they were promoting this as a Hell in a Cell. Triple H was was doing the media before the show saying, look, this is going to be violent. This is going to be, this is not what we don't normally say violence in WWE, and this is going to be that. I mean, it was fairly tame. When you look at the Hell in a Cells, and again, I'm not trying to say I wanted these guys to go in there and tear each other apart and kill each other and get hurt. But at the same time, if you're promoting it that way, to me, it was a little underwhelming with the finish. But I don't know. That's just me.
I kind of liked it, and I liked the fact that Pyle drove the guy on bare wood. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget where I saw it. Must have been AEW probably, but I've seen that before. Yeah, well, didn't Moxley do that to somebody?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had seen it, but I didn't expect it in WWE, and I thought it was okay. I tell you what I did like about the 2 days. First of all, Nico Aldis, you just see him work again to prove he could work, and he looked great.
He did.
I mean, he's not the youngest participant, but he's a real pro. It wasn't plotting, and against Gunther, it was the perfect opponent because they're both like wrestlers,
right?
And I thought it was refreshing, and I really enjoyed it. And he's already retired. He's back as general manager of SmackDown again, so that's the end of that. And the other thing that I'm heartened by, it looks like LA Knight is getting into the title picture after 3 years. Did you hear the pop for him when he came out?
Yeah.
You have to admit, man, he's over.
Yeah. I know. I'm not as high. I know you're a big LA Knight supporter. I'm not as high on him as you are, but I don't know. I didn't really care for the angle between him and Reigns. I thought it was a little, I don't know.
Well, that's at the Monday Night Raw the day after.
Yes,
right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the follow-up angle where it looks like he's getting a big push now. And for the people that didn't see it, Reigns was kind of like making fun of his watch or something.
Yeah.
So you got a Walmart watch or something like that. I don't know. Back and forth.
And I will say that Roman Reigns showed his watch. And yes, I'm a watch guy.
See, I'm not. Is it? Was it really?
Yeah. We're talking 50.
Wow.
Probably. If it's the brand I think it was. I didn't like the fact that they both had watches on because that belies the fact that they're not going to get into a fight.
That's true.
Right? Oh, that would be a great angle, though, if, like, Knight got a hold of his watch and stomped it to pieces. That would be awesome. Yeah. You could do that, too, because nobody can inspect the watch. That's a good angle. I need to book. All right, anyway, so we both give it a C.
And is Reigns is he a face?
Who can say? Because on Monday Night Raw after the pay-per-views, here's Jacob Fatu blooding up
Royce Keys.
And he's gushing blood out of his mouth, and he's attacking him over and over again and beating people up. And Roman Reigns just comes out and does the number one, like we're number one. So is he a face or is he a heel? He's both.
I'm
which
so
only goes to show. Yeah,
perplexed by the whole thing. I just can't figure it out. If I just don't know anymore. He comes out, he's cocky. I mean, if you think about it, him like making fun of this other guy's watch, basically saying, I mean, I know that's kind of silly anyway, but I mean, in the grand scheme, it's sort of a heelish thing. Yeah. And then at the same time, he's the tribal chief and the fans are cheering him and he's shaking the hands with the fans, but then he's okay with bloodying up Keys to where I just don't get it. I don't know. Is that intentional, I guess, that they want to be like, you have to guess where it's like they're sort of like tweeners? I don't know.
Here's my opinion on all this. For 15 years, the Kardashians gave stupid lessons to young girls. Now, Roman Reigns is giving stupid lessons to young boys. Arrogance, coveting, everything revolves around me attitude. That's what's going on here. They're selling that attitude here. And I think they're selling it as a positive. So listen, the times have changed. No Don Leo Jonathan on this card. So I don't know what to say other than it is what it is. There's no such thing as a face and a heel anymore. Show me a pure face anymore. Look at the match between Punk and Cody Rhodes, two fan favorites. What's the first thing they did? They kind of gave each other a look, and then they started bashing each other in the head.
Yeah.
Right? There's no wrestling involved. They started hitting each other in the head.
Yeah.
So it's wrestling 2026. Well, as you know, our guest is got something going on with Lou Thesz videos, and I want to just talk about a little bit and pay homage to Lou Thesz. This is the Outdated Wrestling Hour, and our guys is to look back at wrestling of the past. So I just want to list a few of Lou Thesz's accomplishments for people who might not know who he is. I mean, this really goes back now. I mean, he hasn't been part of the scene since the 80s at this point, which is amazing because Lou Thesz won a version of what was called the AWA title in 1937. Now, that is not Vern Gagne's AWA. There was a world championship in the Minnesota area way back then, and I don't think the AWA came about till about 1960. So, the Minnesota one that we all know
Yep.
with Vern Gagne. But, this guy was a good collegiate wrestler who kind of first of all, he was Joe Science. If you've never seen it, it was just boots, towel around the back of his neck, and a pair of trunks, and scientific as all get out. Master of, early suplexes and things like that, early, everything, but it was mat wrestling for the most part. But he did so many different things. Like, you'd see him as the president of Southwest Championship Wrestling in the early '80s, or you'd see him in the '70s as a color commentator on the IWA. When his wrestling career is concerned, the '40s, '50s, and '60s was his time. He was a three-time NWA champion. Combined, the three championships was over a decade, man. He held the belt for over 10 years. One of the longest times in history for anything in professional wrestling. It just amazes me. He wrestled 7 decades. I mean, he was the president of the Cauliflower Alley Club, and he had a long, long career in wrestling. He actually beat Mil Mascaras in 1976. Considering he started his career in the '30s? Really?
Right.
Lou Thesz beat Bill Mascaras in 1976 in Mexico. That doesn't even sound right. I think his last match was against Masachono in Japan. He lost. And I saw him at that famous, remember the Meadowlands Old Timers Battle Royal in the '80s?
Sure.
Where they brought back Strongbow and Nick Bockwinkel and Pat O'Connor and everybody. And I think the last two guys in the ring were O'Connor and Lou Thesz, if I'm not mistaken. Here's the thing. By that time in wrestling history, they were bringing out these old timers. I got to be honest with you, at least from where I was sitting like in the second level up from the ringside. I didn't hear any reaction from Lou Thesz or Pat O'Connor at all. It was at the end. They reacted to them when they were the last two guys, and they started wrestling. And the fact that it still looked like wrestling, I think, impressed a lot of people. But as they made their entrances, I don't think anybody knew who they were. It just goes to show you that a lot of the mid-'80s WWF fans were new fans. They just looked like a bunch of old men in a ring at that point. And I thought that Old Timers Battle Royal felt rushed. I think that guys were just flipping over. They were flipping over the top rope at a pretty good pace. So all I know is there is some Lou Thesz for you all to watch on television, including the stuff we're about to talk about with John after the break here. So, avail yourself of some Lou Thesz if you can see it. You'll see the standard of the American gentleman world champion. He was very, how do I put it, influential behind the scenes at the NWA. I think John McAdam tells a story about how he wouldn't give a title win to Bruno Sammartino. He just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And back then, everything was very political. You had an NWA board, and everything had to be approved by the board, who was going to be the champion, who was going to lose, so on and so forth. And he refused to do a job for Bruno, according to legend. So wouldn't do certain things near the end of his career. He thought wrestling was getting stupid and too violent and all this other stuff, which is belies the fact that his 1976 promotion was all of that and more. So it'll be fun to talk to John to get his opinion about where these videos came from. And but I just been thinking about Lou Thesz. It's the type of guy who'd never go over now, with the exception of maybe Chad Gable. The real serious-minded technical wrestler. I mean, Chad Gable's over like Rover right now.
He is.
He really is.
That's a good point. Could a Lou Thesz get over in 2026 if he was starting out now in his career? I don't know. You're right. I mean, somebody like Gable is over. Somebody like a pure wrestler like a Gunther is obviously over, but that's really hard to say. Who knows? I would probably guess more likely no, he wouldn't. But I mean, something that you did mention that I'm really thinking about that's crazy, that you said he beat Mil Mascaras in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And that's nuts, because not only was it in Mexico, but it's also crazy just because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mascaras had a reputation for not really doing too many jobs, right?
Right.
So the fact that happened is pretty incredible by itself.
Well, there's the thing. Thesz had a reputation, and people kind of, when he walked in the room, he was just so respected.
Yeah.
Until the very end, from what I understand. I think that a lot of the promoters, by the time he was getting up in years, and let's face it, he started in the late 30s. So, but it's, let's call it 76 to 80, 82. He was kind of washed, and people thought he was old hat and old school, and everything was totally different than the way things were when Thesz was champion. And I think his ideas were poo-pooed at that point. I think he was looked upon as being outmoded, outdated, as the term goes. But strip that all away and forget all about that. The greatness of Lou Thesz. I mean, imagine having a belt for the better part of 10 years on and off. That's crazy.
It is. It is for sure.
I mean, Bruno came close, but Thesz was looked upon as the standard of professional wrestling, of legitimate sports background professional wrestling. Now Chad Gable has all those accolades, from his amateur days. Nobody mentions that. He's just Chad Gable. It's not even a selling point anymore. Somebody could come in with great bona fides, however you pronounce that. Is that how you pronounce that? Come in with those from another sport, and they'll mention it when the guy shows up, and they'll never mention it again. Everything now is, everybody has to have an edge now.
Yeah.
Even the good guys have an edge or something that puts them over. It's not enough just to be a good wrestler anymore. And, I'm not putting down the way they promote it now. Heaven knows they're making money hand over fist, but it's just different. It's a whole different thing.
It is.
Imagine Lou Thesz coming out to a giant light show with fireworks.
Yeah. And, it's just jogging my memory now. I know Lou Thesz he did I don't know if he did a lot of conventions, but I know he did the Weekend of Champions convention in, I want to say it was either 1990 or 1991 in New York. And I was there, and looking back now, I was probably maybe 14 or 15 at that time. And, I wish now looking back that what a legend that I would have loved to have really talked to him and talked to him a little bit more than I did. I think other than just saying hello, getting an autograph. If I knew now, or if I knew then what I know now, that would have been so great, because I'm sure there weren't that many opportunities at that point to really talk to somebody with the knowledge and the history like him. And again, I don't know that he did many more of those. I just know that he did that one. And that was the one where there was a lot of, you had Ric Flair, and you had I think Buddy Rogers and the Fabulous Moolah, and you had a lot of the big legends of the sport. Lou is sort of in a class by himself.
Yes. Now I'm picturing the way they would present him now. Here comes from St. Louis breweries from 240 pounds. Lou Thesz, and the fireworks go off, and then you hear da 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 da. Hey, boop 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 boop. Yeah, what would they do with Lou Thesz now? I mean, it was
Make him a doink. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They wouldn't call him Lou Thesz. They changed his first name from Lou. What would they change his Tumultuous Thesz or something? He wouldn't be Lou. In fact, he wouldn't be Lou Thesz either. That's his real name.
Right. Maybe
he wouldn't be Lou Thesz.
Maybe Spud or something like that, or Spud Thesz.
$2 haircut McGee. Whatever it would be, it would not be Lou Thesz. So there you go. What's new with GenerationXWire.com, my friend?
We've done several concert reviews. We hadn't done a lot of them in the last few months, but we have a few of them up now that you should definitely check out, which is really cool, interesting to read. And we also have a Rod Stewart, Richard Marx one on the site that I actually attended, that I covered for the website, which was also a great show. But I got to say, great job. He has a Vegas style show now.
Yes. Oh my God. It's totally Vegas now.
It really is. And I mean, look, I know there's a lot of detractors on his shows now because he has a lot of backup singers and he has a lot of sort of smoke and mirrors, you might say. Ultimately, for a guy that's, I want to say, I think he's 81. For a guy that's 81 years old, out there for 2 hours, giving it his all, dancing on stage like he always did. He's really into it, talks a lot on stage, tells stories. I thought it was great.
But at the same venue, I just saw the Guess Who predate those acts by 11 or 12 years.
That's right. That's right.
It's amazing. Randy Bachman is 82. Burton Cummings is 78. But they have a killer backup band with them, and they went over like gangbusters, and they were good. They were legit good. I was debating offering you a pair of tickets to that, just to prove that they're better than it sounds, because when you hear their ages, you go, oh, how good could this be? They still got it. And they're just, as we tape this, in the midst of their second half of the U.S. tour they're doing. And they're drawing fans. So
that's good.
The fact that a band that I fell in love with when I was 12 is still touring, it just knocks me out. I can't believe it, to be honest with you. So they may be outdated. Rod Stewart and the Guess Who. I know I'm outdated, but I have Joe Buffemi here. Well, you got the hair for it anyway. Anyway, thank you for being here again. Good to see you. By the way, I'm feeling fine. It's not over, but I'm doing good. So I'm out and about doing the normal things I would do. Everything is normal except eating for me right now. I'm still soft foods. Hey, Pops, what are you having? Anything soft. That's basically who I am right now. But I'm bearing with it.
Okay.
I can eat overcooked pasta to
Yeah.
beat the band, which is great. I love pasta.
Exactly. There's worse.
You're Italian, right? I mean, it's worse things than pasta.
Pasta is my go-to meal. So yeah, I would have no problem with that.
And I've lost like 35 pounds, so
Wow.
how can I complain? This is since December, folks. It didn't all happen at once, but it's like, yeah, I went down a couple of shirt sizes and a pant size. I'm so happy.
Yeah, isn't that a great feeling when that happens? When you
No.
you put on the pants and then you're like, oh wow, look at this. I need a belt.
No, it's not fun. I want a steak dinner side of mashed.
I'm talking about the weight loss.
Oh, well, yeah, who cares? At my age? Who am I impressing at my age? I could show up rail thin. Two college age girls go past me. You know, they try to pick me up. One turned to the other, said, "Get him." Well, anyway.
That's because you don't have the Mr. Softy shirt, Louis. You know, once
Yes,
you
I gotta
get the Mr. Softy shirt,
Yeah,
then you'll be
Mr.
turning
Softy
heads.
that'll turn heads, yeah. Hey, our special guest is coming up in just a minute or two. Hold on for this little brief musical interlude, and we'll be right back with more about the great Lou Thesz. Well, this one's going to be fun for me because I love discovering stuff from the past that I had no idea existed. I recently am tooling around on YouTube because, you know, I live a rich, full life. And I'm bopping around and I look and it says Universal Wrestling Association? Lou Thesz? Huh? What? Folks, I had no idea this particular wrestling organization existed. It's a company from 1976 that was, I guess, operated by, amongst other people, Lou Thesz, the great Lou Thesz. So I've been tuning into these shows on YouTube. I've been having a blast. And the person, I look down on the YouTube page and I see that the person involved in getting him onto YouTube is somebody we've had on the show before. You know this guy. He's ubiquitous. You can hear him on Charting the Territories podcast and also from Outlaws to Independents with the great Beau James. We welcome back to our show, great guy and a great guest, Jon Boucher. Welcome back. This is a blast having you back here.
Thanks for having me. I don't know if it's ever been described as ubiquitous before. It's very, very, very kind.
Well, if you're as busy as you are, and you're almost as busy as I am, but let me ask you this as a fellow podcaster.
Sure.
Well, I'm a little different because I am 1,000% self-produced. I would love to have a company behind me doing things like sweetening and producing and all that stuff, but I do everything, editing, soup to nuts. How about you? What's your role? Do you get involved with any of that? Or are you just lucky to be able to talk?
I am just lucky. I've always been lucky enough just to be able to talk. Yeah, when we did Charting the Territories, Al handled all that stuff. Initially, we were with Arcadian Vanguard, Brian Lass. He has his production team. That was like I forget how long we did with them. And then Al started doing it independently, and he took over that side of it, the admin production side. With Beau does it all, somehow finds time to run a wrestling promotion, 4 TV shows, and also edits hours and hours and hours of podcast stuff every week/month. So I'm lucky in that aspect. They just wind me up and let me go, and I go back about my life.
It is a goal of mine. I have some bucket list stuff. One of the things I want to do is go to see Beau's promotion. I really do. I want to drive down there. I'm retired now. I have the time, and hopefully, if gas comes below $7 a gallon sometime soon, that I could take a trip like that. Just to come out, say hello, shake some hands, and support what I used to love the best, a territory.
Yeah, he I think is now one of the longest. Not the longest, but one of probably top 3 independent promotions in the country, because he's been doing it since.
Has to be. I can't think of anybody that's around longer than he is. And again, it knocks me out. He was in the first PWI 500 I ever wrote in 1990. Was it 91?
Yeah,
I think it was 91 and 92.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I'm talking to him online. I think it's somebody else. I go, oh, it's somebody with the same name of a wrestler I used to be aware of. No, it was actually him. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and we just realized earlier that we both live in Queens. So if you do make that trip, let me know. I can maybe kick in some gas money and split the drive down there if you like.
You've never been?
I've never been.
Wow.
So.
But so you do a podcast, but you've never had an opportunity to see the promotion. Wow.
I've
All
watched some on YouTube here and there, not religious every week or anything, but I do watch occasionally, just to. It's the great thing about his promotion too, and the way he does his TV. Not to have this be the Beau James appreciation hour, but this TV is great. You can just pick a random episode, you watch the first 3 minutes, you're all caught up. You know what's going on. You know who has an issue with who. I love stuff like that, and that's what makes great TV. That's what I loved about the old WWF Saturday night's main events that were on, NBC back there. You could tune in, never having watched wrestling before. Within the first minute, you know who's got an issue with who's going to fight who, and all that. And he does that same sort of thing, which is great.
You brought up a great point, and it's something that today's promoters tend to forget. I'm going to point at, and I don't want to sound like I'm bashing them, but I'm going to point out the current NWA show. Right? They're doing better because they're on over the network TV and all that stuff. Good for them. That's great. But here's the deal. When you tune into the NWA and the show begins, you don't know who anybody is. Like, they'll bring in people you've never seen before in the matches. They'll explain them while they're already wrestling in the ring, but there's no backstory. There's no reason why are they there. Are they contenders? Where have they worked? There's nothing. They just kind of throw them in the ring and you have no clue as to when these people are. That hurts because Puccio and I went to a show in Long Island. We went and saw the NWA when they played the Paramount there, the Paramount Theater. And again, nobody in the crowd, and they were coming to see pro wrestling, I think. They didn't know who anybody was. Nobody. So I'm thinking to myself, they enjoyed it well enough. Well, it would have been great if they had a little backstory about these people or short video about, because they had a video screen up. So I'm like, why not educate going into these title bouts that were there and things like that? I think they enjoyed the action for what it was. There was one 8-person tag team match, I think, that had they were flying all over. Somebody went through a door and all that stuff. They put a door on a couple chairs and they went through the door. But the point I'm trying to make is they enjoyed the action without knowing who the people were. I think they'd enjoy it more if they had a clue as to who they were watching.
Yeah, and again, we're not saying. I think we're in agreement here. We're not saying everybody who on the show needs a 5-minute video package.
Right.
Just a quick little background to know who's who and who's what.
Absolutely agree with that. I think AEW is guilty of that a little bit too.
A little bit.
Like, they'll bring someone in the first week. Look who's the AEW, and the next week they're in a meaningless tag team match.
Yeah, and I think I think everyone. I don't know if it's the promoters or who do we point the finger at, but I think everyone, whoever that is making those decisions, assumes everyone is already familiar with everyone.
Yep, and you can't assume. You cannot assume.
Which may be true for a portion of your audience who devour wrestling, in a maniacal, obsessive fashion. But to the people who aren't, those are the people you need to hook to have them come back.
I absolutely agree. You described that perfectly. Right. Because it's like, again, I'm sitting there. I didn't know who a lot of people were. I know a few. And by the way, I just want to send my congratulations out to a guy who just signed a contract with the NWA, the personable, wonderful Wrecking Ball Legursky. I loved him before I ever saw him. Just the name. It's so 1955.
Amazing name.
And once I actually got the chance to talk to him a little bit and get to know him just a tiny bit, and then watch some work, and he went over like gangbusters in front of an audience who had no idea who he was. I am really excited for him, and I want to send out my deepest plaudits because I know he's worked his butt off across the Indies to get that spot. So congratulations. Have you ever seen him?
I am not familiar with his work. No. The name is fantastic.
Think a modern day Butcher Vachon. Think a modern day. Well, he's a fan favorite now, like a pro USA type guy, like a Duggan type.
Okay.
But he's big and rotund. So he even fess up to that, sure.
Oh yeah,
so he's got an old school heel body.
Yeah, that's
right. He's not a bodybuilder, but he's naturally big and strong, and goes over like gangbusters. Yeah. I don't know how to put him. Who can I equate him to in terms of a good guy? Dusty. All right, got that kind of appeal. So big things are coming for Wrecking Ball. They have to because he's big. Yeah. So anyway, let's get on to why I have you on the show. You knocked me out with this Lou Thesz thing. This Universal Wrestling Association.
Yeah.
How'd you find it? What do you know about it? Just fill in the gaps because I'm watching these tapes, and I'm watching Nelson Royal and beautiful Bruce Swayze and Louis Martinez, Pez Whatley, and old Bull Curry, Wild Bull Curry,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I'm having a blast. So
Yeah.
just fill me in on how this all came about.
So this was a couple of years ago. I think this was 4 or 5 years ago at this point. I was on eBay, and one of the things I'm always looking for are old, wrestling films, wrestling tapes, whatever, anything, whatever format it is, VHS tapes, films, quad reels, whatever I could find. And something came up, single quad reel. So I saw an auction come up on eBay for a single quad reel, like a 12 by 12 box, and just said Memphis Wrestling. I was like, oh, hello, Memphis Wrestling. I am interested in this. So I bid on it. I bid way too much just to using my bid sniping software just to make sure I got it because I wanted to see what this was. Received it, opened it, and saw all the stuff on it. Read the UWA, Buddy Lee attractions, and it listed some of the matches on the actual reel. It's like, oh, huh. And before I even had it transferred, I emailed the guy through eBay, which is illegal. Don't do this. And I asked him if he had any more. And he said yes. And it turns out he happened upon a storage space. And the storage space had, something like 15 to 17 reels of this stuff in it. And I was like, I would like to buy them all from you, sir. And I think because there were so many of them, I had them, I did like 3 or 4 separate payments. He shipped them all from Tennessee to New York. And then I sent them off to have them transferred. And that's where they came from. They just were sitting in a storage space for the last 40 something years.
What I want to impress upon with our listeners is that when you watch one of these things, when you sit down with your YouTube box and you turn it on, like I watch YouTube on Roku. It's to me, it's a TV network to me now. I don't even look at my phone. I watch it on TV, to be honest with you. So when I watch these tapes, they're raw. It's like there's some static in the beginning or that color bars thing.
Yep.
And then you'll see a placard that says show number 6 and it'll list all the participants. And then you'll see, as you watch the matches, you'll see the literal spots where they put insert commercial here.
Yeah.
Heaven knows how much I love that because people are seeing that you're actually seeing a little bit of the production. The fact they wrote some of these messages on a blackboard and they just pointed a camera at it. It gives you that 1970s feel of how wrestling was produced way back then.
Yeah. And these are all quad reels, which is that 2-inch sort of videotape that they used in I don't know how far back it went, but very, 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 very prevalent in the 70s. Like most of the stuff I have from the 70s is on those quad reels. It's not film. Let me tell you, the transfers on those quality is great because it's like a first generation right off the 2-inch tape. So the color looks great. It's brilliant 70s color. And yeah, it's I think so far I've got maybe 4 or 5 episodes up, and I've got probably 10 or 12 more that I eventually went and had transferred. But it's just, stuff is just so expensive to get done. It's like ends up being like, because they're 30, 40 minutes long, so like ends up being like $150, $200 to transfer per reel. There's not a lot of money in this. It's tough to lay out that amount of money for this stuff that often. But I'm hoping to do another batch soon.
But you're doing God's work. This is a labor of love.
Yes,
it's just like Dave Dynasty does with those old WWA tapes. It's like if you didn't love it, you wouldn't do it. Now, here's the other thing, too. I happen to have worked my last job. I'm retired now. But anyway, my last job in the same building was a company that did video transfers. Amazing job. The client list he had was networks and, educational TV. And I actually recommended somebody to go and check out. He needed a duping thing. I couldn't do it with him. He's just too expensive. Why? Because he's doing it pretty much looking at it from a broadcast perspective, So, different companies are going to charge different amounts of money to do that kind of work. And it's good for you. You even found somebody to do it because it's not that easy to find these duplication companies, is it?
The quad reels, the 2-inch stuff, I found one place on the East Coast that does it. One place, one guy. And he's still relatively inexpensive from places I've seen in other parts of the country. But the hilarious part is these tapes were all shipped from a storage space in Tennessee, and the guy who does the transfers is actually in Tennessee. So I'm shipping all them back, piecemeal back to that's a little bit of irony there, I guess, in the story of these tapes.
But let's not forget, shipping ain't cheap either. Anything with any weight to it is expensive.
My goodness. These I do, I want to send them FedEx because I don't want them lost. And FedEx is basically the only company left that will take any accountability or when you ship with them. And to ship 4 of these, which I do in like a big 14 by 14 box, 14 by 14 by 14 square box, is between $80 and $100 each way.
Right.
It's just so it's like you're looking at over $800 to get 4 of them done. All between the transfer, between the shipping and all that stuff. And so it is a labor of love. I mean, there's people talk about the WWE vault and they're sitting on all this great championship wrestling from Florida footage, and why don't they transfer it? And like this is probably why, because it's so expensive to do, and it's not making anyone a lot of money. Sadly,
that's the key to this. I know the vault. Now the vault's pretty popular and it's pretty good. I look at it all the time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: they're doing it for the same reason anybody has a YouTube channel, because you can make money getting YouTube looks. Like if you've ever watched any of the big time wrestling pundits on YouTube, if you see a little placard in the background with the YouTube logo on it, that means they've achieved the point where it's monetized. They get a lot of views. You see doctors and wrestling guys, all kinds of podcasts where people just talk out loud. And if you can get, let's say, 350,000 constant viewers, you'll get one of these little placards.
Yeah.
So I never actually, it's funny we're mentioning YouTube. I'm thinking of pulling off for YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing this they're doing a big thing right now. We've got to kind of do our music clearances through them now. It's another thing they're adding to it. And I don't even know if it's worth it. And here's the funny thing. I put the show on YouTube. I just put a placard up, our placard. You hear the same thing you hear on any audio app that you would want to hear the show on.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I do an extra 100 listens a month or something like that. It's really, and I don't promote it, I hardly mention it, but I just throw it out there because there are some people that want to hear their podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I discovered my podcast through YouTube, the ones I listened to years ago. How about you? Are you a podcast listener as well as a podcaster, or is it just
I used to be much more of a listener before my child was born. I was a voracious podcast listener. Now I don't even have time to listen to my own.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Yeah.
The last one I listened to, not to brown nose here, but the last one I listened to was an episode you did about the old New York independent TV stations
with Steve Gennarelli.
Steve Gennarelli, the great Steve Gennarelli.
We were just talking, Steve. We were just talking one day. Said, "Oh, don't you miss Channel 9 in the old days? You could just switch this on," and it just led to this show, and it's right now probably one of the most popular shows we've done. All the New Yorkers are chiming in, and because everybody's got their memories of the David Susskind show and Wonderama and the $1 Million Movie and Chiller and all that stuff. So no, that show did very, very well. Anybody from New York is going to want to hear that show. But thank you for that. Thanks for listening too. And I would love to be able to tell you I listen to both your podcasts every week, but I'm busy too. I do listen to Beau every so often when I get an opportunity to do it. And you guys are doing a great job. But let's get back to these tapes. Now, I didn't even mention that other people I saw in these tapes were, this is like getting let out of jail. The interns with Dr. Ken Ramey as their manager. Never saw him in my life before this. Yeah. I read about him in the magazines, never saw them in my whole life.
Yeah.
Al Costello was there managing various people. And then you had the early Islanders, which is Afa and Sika. Yes, the Wild Samoans. Yep. Managed by, of all people, Gentleman Saul Weingroff, who was always a heel. Yeah. But in this case, he's a face.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I know you can't explain it.
It's very strange. Yeah, it's such an interesting roster. I mean, in a lot of ways, like one of the things that's interesting about this promotion and this TV is it's like, it's a typical outlaw show from the 1970s where you get that combination of veterans like Wild Bull Curry pushing 60, Nelson Royal, Luisa Riva Martinez, interns and Ramey, Al Costello, those guys. Then you have, the future stars. You got like young Terry Gordy there as Terry Meeker under the hood as Mr. Wrestling, Pez Whatley, Mike Boyette, Troy Graham, the Future Dream Machine, all those guys. So that's very typical of like those outlaw promotions. You don't quite have guys who are like in the heart of their career yet. You have the older guys who are sort of on their way out, on their way down, and the future stars who have yet to make it.
What I noticed in the few tapes that I was able to watch so far is everybody was on the same level. Like Mike Boyette and Don Serrano got pushes. They got interviewed.
Yeah.
And it was just so informal. Like there was I forget who the other announcer is, his really polished announcer they had doing play-by-play.
Was it Buzz Benson?
Buzz Benson, that's
Yeah.
right. I guess he sounds like a sports guy to me.
There's a great, I think I remember Beau watching those and say, oh yeah, he did something, but I forget exactly what he did. But yeah, he's got a great voice and very, very polished and a great, compliments Lou Thesz on commentary very well. I mean, Lou Thesz is a lot of great wrestler, not necessarily a great play-by-play or color guy at the desk.
I will say this, though. The show had that refreshing old school, put down the bad guys, root for the good guys.
Yes.
Even one episode, Buzz is admonishing somebody in the ring, waving a finger at him. Like, you shouldn't have done that. That stuff doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And here's the other thing. For a Lou Thesz run promotion, it's pretty violent. I mean, right?
Yeah. There's, I think, Luis Martinez gets color in one of the episodes, and he's like bleeding at the announce desk and like slamming the announce, yeah, there's a lot of, when I first got this stuff, I wasn't sure what I was expecting. Prior to me getting these, there was an episode or two floating around, like an old VHS copy that I'd seen here and there, or something. And it may have been this promotion mixed with the IWA, the old IWA, which sort of was running concurrently. And there's also a lot of shared talent between the IWA and the Thesz promotion, like the Eric the Red, guys like that.
Well, Louis Martinez, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Pez Watley was in at that point.
Yep.
Nelson Royal.
So there's a lot of shared names there.
I wonder timeline-wise, because I was a huge IWA guy because I grew up watching the NWF. I'm wondering if maybe that was the point where Eddie Einhorn pulled out. Martinez and Johnny Powers kept it going and kind of focused on the Carolinas and stuff like that instead of going national at that point. I wonder if the guys we're talking about splintered off at that point.
It might be possible to. Also, it's also very interesting too. If I can, a quick aside, like the key players in this promotion, like aside from Thesz, or Buddy Lee, the former wrestler turned agent, ex-husband of Moolah, founded Buddy Lee Attractions, which eventually grew into one of Nashville's largest talent agencies, representing everybody from Willie Nelson, Hank Williams Jr., George Strait, Danny Davis, not the Nightmare Danny Davis, not the WWF referee Danny Davis, but the musician who is a successful producer, founder of the Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass, and John Ringley, who's a very interesting name. You mentioned the Carolinas. Ringley was married to Frances Crockett and briefly helped run Crockett Promotions after Crockett Sr.'s death. Then there was like the divorce scandal between the two of them that ended that role. And you see Ringley, sort of trying to reinvent himself here by running an opposition promotion in Tennessee. So it's interesting to have that Carolinas aspect, a higher up in the Crockett organization too.
So as you mentioned in your show notes there, this promotion ran against Nick Goulas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And there is a lot of regularly going head to head. I don't know about television time. They don't have all those TV guides or local TV listings, but they regularly scheduled shows opposite Goulas and Jarrett territory shows. They challenge pretty aggressively, as is the case with most outlaw promotions. It doesn't really last that long. It's like they're very ambitious plans and steady weekly TV. They did struggle financially, as most outlaw promotions do, and by August of '76, they filed with the Athletic Commission to shut the promotion down. But Thesz continued promoting independently throughout Tennessee, especially East Tennessee, and partnered with a guy named Earl Walters, trying to sort of regroup and do something else. Eventually, Thesz cut bait altogether, and Earl Walters filed for his own promoter's license, keeping the UWA name. So that's sort of like still went on for a little while after Thesz was no longer involved.
Fascinating. The hubris to even try to encroach on that particular market too. That's pretty tough stuff.
It's so strange. Like you think of Lou Thesz. I think of Lou Thesz, though I don't want to say everyone, but when I think of Lou Thesz, I think of him as like, this is a guy who, after his wrestling career was over, I don't know if he would have been happy being a figurehead NWA president or anything like a Muchnick or an Eddie Graham or Bob Geigel or someone like that, but just as sort of an ambassador for the National Wrestling Alliance. Lou Thesz, like, who could be better to represent them throughout the late '60s, early '70s? But it's sort of like the opposite happened. Like, he sort of like walked away from the NWA, like in the mid late 60s there. In his obituary from Meltzer, he talks about Thesz and Muchnick having a falling out after the proposed Bruno Sammartino title unification thing. And that being sort of like that caused a rift between Muchnick and Thesz. Thesz doesn't really, in his book, Thesz doesn't really address that specifically as being the cause of any rift. He does talk about, Muchnick, like a lot of resentment as far as like money stuff and the schedule, which is sort of more expected, but he doesn't address this specifically. So who can say exactly what the story is? But the fact that, rather than remain within the NWA system, Thesz became sort of an outlaw. Like even prior to this.
For my knowledge base, I remember him doing color commentary on the IWA again after they had stopped going national. Him and Ron Martinez were doing it. And then he became a figurehead president for Southwest Championship Wrestling for a while. So he would show up on these spots, and once on every occasion, he'd still strap him up once in a while, even going into the 70s. And I think his last match was 1980 in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like a fascinating guy. Yeah. And from what I understand, in his late years, Thesz was, I don't know how to put it. A lot of people in the NWA considered him hard to work with because people would have concepts. He'd say no, things like that. And I think by the time he did leave the NWA, he was considered sort of a relic, which is sad to me because who meant more to pro wrestling than Lou Thesz?
Yeah. Even prior, like a few years prior to this and prior to the IWA, like Thesz ran opposition to Giant Baba, of all people. I think he partnered with Frank Tunney and Great Togo, and they had TV, and they were running opposite Baba's, the JWA, the Baba promotion back then.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So he was running opposition Giant Baba, of all people. And that, of course, that didn't folded really, really shortly. Thesz and Togo, I think, ran another rival promotion a couple years later with backing from like the Fuji network, but also failed. And I think after that, he sort of steps back from wrestling a little bit. And I think he had like a importing carpet business, something, exporting carpet. Sounds like a George Costanza job. And not wrestling all that much. Still on the outskirts, I think Muchnick would still bring him in here and there to do like special referee kind of stuff on the outskirts. And then this business failed and ended up like costing Lou a lot of money. So in like the early 70s, I think 73 or so, he's 56. He had to make money. So he has to go back to, working for Nick Goulas in Tennessee, making $100 a night. So to me, that's sort of like, when you're pushing 60 and you have to work for Nick Goulas for $100 a night, it doesn't take too long to get to the UWA. Like how did that happen? I think I don't know whether there was a falling out with Goulas, other than the typical complaints people have about Nick Goulas. Mostly being working for $100 a night. But he did. I think this is where he met his third wife. But the third wife also meant a second divorce. Which was also led to his financial situation. So he had to wrestle.
I want to point people toward these tapes that you put up, and there's going to be apparently more in the future. So the feel of the show to me, it's very similar to most of the studio shows of the 70s. Not a whole lot of it's all atmosphere, no niceties. It's like just a ring with some chairs around it. Yeah. A really shockingly upbeat crowd of kids and their parents and their grandparents, right? Yeah. I mean, the crowd's into it. And every show I've watched, no matter who the wrestler was, they were into it. They really were. I'll call it a cross between the Terry Sullivan era Detroit show and Memphis. Yeah. It feels like a mix to me, right? Yeah. And again, the violence goes. At one point, Al Costello brings a cattle prod into the ring, starts zapping people. And that may be the first use of a cattle prod in pro wrestling I ever saw if it's 76, right? Because we've seen it in the years since then.
Yeah.
And like you said, Crimson masks were not undone on this show. It was surprisingly bloody from what I looked at.
Yeah, before I saw these, I was like, well, this is the Lou Thesz promotion. This is all going to be just, the scientific wrestling. What's this going to be like, And it's he's running Memphis. The people in Memphis are going to want more than the catch can folk style wrestling. They're going to want some action, and boy, do they get it.
They do. And is this a promotion where the immortal Joe Turco has a different name? Is this the promotion? Am I remembering this correctly?
I think he's in there. What's his name?
Mario Leone or something?
Yeah. That's
Joe Turco.
Yep. You see him.
And I'm like, it's the same shtick, the same, did this with his fingers. I don't even know what that means.
Yes, the continental.
I'm doing kind of like, this Italian hand gesture.
Yeah.
And it's the same guy with the same shtick, but he had a different name.
Yep. And that's the thing, too. I've got another dozen of these reels that I'd love to get transferred. I was thinking of starting like a Patreon thing, not to make money or to buy a lake house or retire early, just do something for like $1 a month, just to gauge interest. My podcast partner Al Getz used to do, before he did his print books, he would do a little PDF version of almanacs, and he would sell them, for $1 or more if you wanted, just because like selling something for $1 is a great way just to gauge actual interest. Like, people will say they're interested in something, but are you interested enough to give me $1? That's
right.
That's so just to see if there is genuine interest in this, aside from me and 4 other people, or if there's like a larger interest. If so, which ones should I do first? That sort of thing. But that's a ways down the line, but maybe.
Well, people don't realize these aren't VHS tapes you're duping into digital files. These are old school giant cartridges in most cases, right? And first of all, you got to find a dupe place that even accepts those, and then you go from there. So there's the cost of the shipping, the cost of the transfer, the cost of shipping them back, the cost of putting them out into the digital world on YouTube and other sources.
Yeah.
It's not free, folks. I mean, anybody who's doing this is doing it out of their love of old school pro wrestling. So that's why I want people to find this, get 1 million views. You'll finally get some monetization. Then you can keep putting the rest of them out because I'm greedy.
I had to. It's funny. I have no monetization on my channel, so that's not a thing for me. But which is fine, and also I think it keeps you from getting copyright strikes. From stuff. Which, and it's, again, this thing too. I don't know who actually owns this stuff. Buddy, the estates of Buddy Lee, Lou Thesz, and Danny Davis. I guess technically,
I can't imagine. I don't know who would possibly. Or is any of them still around, or would we even remember anything that's found in a box in a closet somewhere? You have to think. No, seriously, in all seriousness, you have to think it's a bygone thing. And here's the other deal too. People in that era didn't even copyright or trademark their company names or other things.
Right.
Good Lord! I mean, the famous rock band, the Guess Who? They never trademarked the name. So the old bass player grabbed it one day and trademarked it, and he owned it for a long time, and that became a major court case last year. So it's like, you never know. Everything was loose in the 70s. We'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, and it's the thing with YouTube that's tricky, and I'm sure you're aware, is like, I'll put up one of these tapes and it'll get flagged, by WWE or somebody. I don't think there's somebody working at Titan Tower refreshing YouTube looking for stuff. I think it's just they have something in their algorithm that flags wrestling and like, oh, is this from the 70s? We must own this. Let's face it, odds are if it's from the 70s and it's pro wrestling, they likely own it. There's very little stuff that's out there that's not, like, aside from like the stuff that the Savoldi channel, that sort of stuff, 3/4 of what's out there is probably owned by them. So it makes sense for them to do that. But then it's like, my channel gets a strike and it's the whole thing I got to go through. It's just a pain in the neck, I'll tell you.
Well, this is why when I heard about this music, copyrights thing that I have to go through, which is no major whoop, it only takes a few minutes to do the paperwork and all that, or the digital paperwork.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's the point behind it. Is the stuff I'm getting back from this worth all the putting out I'm doing? Sometimes I don't know. In terms of YouTube, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it really is. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I guess, as it were. That's another reason why I was thinking of doing like the Patreon thing, whereas I'm getting hassles on YouTube for copyright strikes for stuff that's being stricken by people who don't own the copyright. Does it make more sense to me just like upload them to my Google Drive, have people pay me $1 a month to watch them there? I don't know. These are all things I'm trying to figure out the path of least resistance with the rest of these.
I'll say it again. You're doing God's work, my son, because for an old fart like me, to find this out of the blue. I'm always skimming around looking for wrestling on YouTube. It's like a treasure trove of, even you'd admit you're finding stuff that you probably didn't even existed either. And to find something like this with people, like Lou Thesz and everybody else that's involved, and a lot of the great old timers like Bull Curry and the interns with Ken Ramey. To me, it's like, geez, I'm in my 60s and I'm finally seeing the interns for the first time. He is showing me the plastic case that one of these reels comes in.
There you go.
And it's huge. You can show a movie on this thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's so funny. And you can see there, filmed in Virginia, which is interesting. So they had TV in Virginia, apparently.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on. Oh my goodness, this is heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Another thing it's interesting. I was going through these in preparation for our baby arriving. They were strewn about the living room in a little corner, which my wife loved. Made some room under my desk to have them all stacked there. And from what we know, the promotions, TV advertising began in early 76. January 76 is when we first see them advertised in the paper. In one of these reels that I was going through, I found one of them that was dated in late 75. So I'm very curious what's on the late 75 one. I'm assuming it's probably old IWA footage, since there's so much cross-pollination.
Right, yeah.
Talent sharing. With maybe like locally produced like wraparound segments or what have you. So I'm very, very curious what's on that. And there is some of these too. You'll see some IWA stuff at the end. I think there's like a Kangaroos match on one of them. This is another thing, YouTube may have scratched. Some of the IWA stuff gets flagged as a copyright strike. So sometimes that's actually removed from the YouTube versions. Some of the old IWA stuff that ends up on these reels.
I wonder if it could strike not so much for the wrestling content, but for the theme song.
Huh.
Seriously, a lot of this stuff gets copyright strikes, not for the wrestling content, but because wrestling promotions, including the old WWF, would just lift stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This is why you no longer hear the Dixie Dregs on the Starting Championship Wrestling or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because it's when they re-released it onto the network, they put a new theme on it because you can't do that. I'm wondering that jazzy IWA organ song that was their theme, maybe that was a recording artist, and that's where the copyright strikes comes from.
I've got to Shazam that. See what that is.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. It's funny. There's a car commercial where this is a wacky song on it, and I want to find out what that song is. I got to get a Shazam from my phone because it's like this one song is driving me crazy because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I want to find out who put this silly thing out, but it's the way it goes. Well, anyway, John, it's a pleasure to have you here. A pleasure to have you talk about all this. It's an education for me, and I thought I was beyond being able to be educated at my age. So, no, seriously, this is cool stuff, and I just want to express my appreciation and point all of my listeners to what you guys are doing because it's tremendous. And anytime you can get new old wrestling, it's a blessing. It really is. So, thank you, and it's good to see you. Just generally,
good to see you too. Yeah, if I'd love to get some more views on this stuff and some more feedback. Leave comments on them, and if you want to see more, leave some comments on the YouTube comments there, and just the more positive stuff I hear about them, the more likely I'll be to get a fire lit under me, get something done here with these, other than have them sit under my desk and collect even more dust.
There you go, folks. Let's start a movement.
Yes,
let's keep YouTube wrestling on strong, no matter what the source is, because we need it. Because I swear to you, I'm watching Monday Night Raw or something. I'm halfway through it, and I'm just sitting there dissatisfied, and I clicked my Roku and put the YouTube channel on and watched old wrestling instead of the current Raw. Now, I'm not putting it down. I do watch the WWE product out of the corner of one eye. I just feel like I have to because I've watched wrestling my whole life, But it's nice to be able to say, I want to watch Dominic DeNucci versus Tank Patton and be able to do it. It's really great because who would have ever thought when we were young, John, I don't know how old you are, but who would have ever thought that the stuff I saw when I was 15, I could still look at? That's wonderful. That's just great.
I'm 53 years young. I am. Yeah. It's great to be able to piggyback off what you said. Yeah. I do watch some modern stuff. I don't watch every week just because I I can't watch every week, but I do. I watch the monthly pay-per-views if whenever I can. It's fine. I enjoy watching them, but sometimes you just need to scratch the itch of the old studio wrestling shows, the old territorial era stuff, whatever it is. Whether it's the WWF. Like I love being able to go back and just watch WWF TV from 1981, like the first stuff I started watching when I was a kid. I love being able to go. It's great to be able to go back and watch that. We're so fortunate in a lot of ways to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, people are not grateful enough for what we have now. Everything that says wrestling on it, I put on the not the cable company, even my streaming company's DVR, which lasts for 9 months. Can you imagine when we were kids if we had the ability to do that, never miss anything? Because you could time shift it. I mean, that wasn't even an inkling when I was in school.
There's a lot to say about technology and media and the way we can consume stuff and like the positives and the negatives. And I'm torn. There's a lot of me that's like, this is great that we're able to do this. And there's also a part of me that like, can that hurt as well? In the same way, the way people consume the media, whether it's music or wrestling,
Exactly.
It's like, does it hurt Ric Flair's legacy because now we have 75 DVD compilations where we could watch the matches and be like, oh, he was sort of doing the same thing all the time, Or, I never saw Bruiser Brody when I was a kid that often, just when he would show up on Georgia TV. Now I can, watch any number of matches that's just by typing it into YouTube. Does that make him less special now? It's that sort of thing.
Well, anyway, John, tell people where they can find you in all ways, your podcasts, anything else you got going on. The floor is yours to hype yourself like crazy.
Going on. Find me on Twitter. If you were following me on Twitter, you probably aren't now because I got hacked a while back. So I have a new Twitter account, _Jon Boucher, no spaces, just _ my name. Follow me there. Facebook, my name, Jon Boucher. Instagram is my name. Podcast, Charting the Territories with Al Getz. Al is retired, so we haven't recorded a new episode in years. Maybe someday we will, maybe we won't. But there's a great archive if you're into territorial era wrestling. I hate to pat myself or pat ourselves on the back. Like no one really did like these very territory specific dives for, a month in 1971. The way we did it, some really, really great information there. Outlaws to Independents with Beau James. Try to do twice a month. Now we're just basically doing like once a month just because I'm so busy with my child. Beau is so busy with running TV in Tennessee and Alabama. He's all over doing so much. So that's once. We'll maybe hopefully get to twice a month eventually, but Outlaws to Independents, you'll hear me there. On YouTube, again, you search for UWA Lou Thesz on YouTube. My reels will come up. Or if you want to search for my username, again, Jon Boucher. I got a little wrestling guy as an icon. Find these reels there and some other stuff. I got a bunch of other cool stuff that, is the only place you'll find it or the first place you will have seen it. We talked about Bull Curry earlier. I've got some of the latest Bull Curry footage here and some of the earliest Bull Curry footage. I've got some wrestling from the early 40s in Meriden, Connecticut with a younger Bull Curry on the YouTube channel there. So you can check that out and follow, do what you got to do.
There you go. We'll leave you with this little anecdote for you. I thought John here lived down south because he does a podcast with Beau James. I figured, well, he's down Tennessee region. No, we are both New Yorkers, ain't we?
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes as a crow flies from each other.
Yeah, yeah. I had no earthly idea. I assumed things. Whoever the lead guy is from, I figured you were buddies and you were, and stuff like that. But no, he's another New Yorker. So hey, we'll have to split a Schaefer sometime soon. How's that sound?
Yes, a Schaefer and do a baseball game or something. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's wearing a Met cap, so Hey, you can get a ticket for like $3 now, so we might as well do it.
True.
All right, everybody. Check out the Universal Wrestling Association. All the stuff being done by a true wrestling. I guess I don't know how to put it. You're not a historian, but you're acquiring things that people can watch. We all appreciate it. It's Jon Boucher.
Yes.
Really great to see you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Attention, Gen Xers. If you'd like to explore the era that appeals to you, look no further than GenerationXWire.com. The generation who grew up with the elite in entertainment, music, movies, TV, books, pro wrestling, and more finally has a one-stop destination for all their Gen X needs. From Aerosmith to Batman to the Killer Bees to the Twilight Zone, there's something for everybody at GenerationXWire.com. You won't find a more eclectic mix of pop culture content than at the leading website that specializes in the greatest generation, GenerationXWire.com. Check it out today. That's it for another edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast. We hope you enjoyed yourselves. Write to us, outdatedwrestling@gmail.com. Our website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com, where you can find all of our episodes at the press of a button. We will never Patreon you for those. Also on the website, you will find a box that says Outdated Wrestling Hour Fan Club, where for a nominal fee, you can help perpetuate the ongoing adventures of this podcast and our sister show, the Outdated Entertainment Hour, which comes out about once a month. All of it on outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. We're available on every podcast app you can think of. Please join us again. Both the Outdated Wrestling Hour and the Outdated Entertainment Hour are shows provided by Bob Smith's podcasts. The Outdated Wrestling Hour is part of the WrestleCopia podcast network. That's it for now. We hope you had a really good time tonight, and we're out every Friday with new editions of the Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast. So until next time, this is Bob Smith. You might remember me from my days with PWI. Thanks for being loyal fans. Thanks for listening every week. And we always say the same thing at the end of every show. In the words of Ringo Starr, peace and love, brothers and sisters. Peace and love.